What's going on, Garland, Texas? Welcome to Talking Throws Podcast, Texas Style. I'm Coach Jason.
And I'm Coach Janelle.
And I left out, this is episode 112 of season 7. We'll get it straight. So
2024, it's a new year.
Yes, it is. Check out our website, thethornfactory.com. You'll find we are doing online lessons, in-person lessons, assessing videos, whatever you need. Just contact us through the website at thornfactory.com. Also, too, you're going to find links to fourthrows.com, Fiber Sports. Also, our shopping apparel's up. We have brand new clothes up as well. So go check those out. And if you want to look cool at the next track meet, please purchase one of those items. We want to thank our sponsors for Season 7, Texas Track and Field Coaches Association. You go to that website, ttfc.org. Right now, there's indoor meets being published. Outdoor meets are being published. Also, rules are on that site as well. So if you have any questions for the rules, go to ttfca.org to get that information. Fourthrows.com, quality implements, price right. Use the code TalkingThrows10 to get that 10% off. Right now, if you actually go to the site and hit the closeout tab, you're going to see a shot put on for sale for $28 plus the code discount. You'll see a super spin one closeout for $65. That's a Discus. You're going to see a red 85% rim weight Discus, a closeout for basically $90 plus the code percentage off as well. So what other site would you want to go to than fourthrows.com to purchase any of your throwing equipment? Ready Up Athletic Development, ran by Zach Phillips out of the greater Austin area. He has a program called Basic Throw Strength. That website that's on that program is Train Heroic. You can use the code THROWS10 to get 20% off. The program is called Basic Throw Strength. It is for any multi-sport athlete who's going into throwing, maybe a volleyball player, football player, someone who does club volleyball but's looking to throw for their school. That is a great strength program for that thrower, male or female. That is on the website Train Heroic, and use that code THROWS10. Fiber Sports Discus, so a new way to look at new way to get the distance. You can check out their link on our website, the Throwing Factory. You can purchase this through fourthrows.com. Use that code TalkingThrows10. NTX Timing. Let Carl Hornbeck and his crew manage your data from start to finish. Take advantage of the relationships they have with MileSplit for free online registration and live results. They're going to handle seeding, report generating, timing, live results, posting it on the internet. And these results are posted on the internet so important because if you're a thrower or a runner or a jumper looking to get recruited, those college coaches got to have those results to validate, those scholarship opportunities. If those are put on some Excel spreadsheet and not turned into any site, then the chances that kid being recruited is slim to none. We also want to thank Big Frogs Colleyville for all they do for handling our printing and embroidering, and lifting DFW. Of course, if you're looking for Olympic lifting lessons or even personal lessons, you can go to that site, theliftingdfw.com. Today's guest in episode 112 is currently a federal agent protecting our borders in South Texas. He is also a father of 2, and he's married to a former thrower as well. In 2014, he was a U.S. Championship, placing 5th with a PR at 20:35 at the U.S. Championships. In 2016, he made the trials while working out of Chula Vista, working with Art Venegas. He attended University of Texas at San Antonio from 2012 to 2014, where he was a 4-time All-American and 9 times All-Conference Honoree. He did have college PRs in 20:35, but also in Discus of 57:44 and the hammer of 61:90, and also through the Javelin where he was 52:05. He graduated from Naaman Forest High School in Garland in 2019, where his senior year he made the state meet in the shot put and the Discus. He had a shot put PR of 61, basically 8 1/4, and in the Discus had a Discus PR of 181.4. Please welcome Mr. Richard Garrett Jr.
Anyway.
Hi.
There you go.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm good.
For sure, man. Well, it's an honor to have you on. as I started investigating your throwing career, man, what a tremendous career you had. So we're excited to kind of get your story out there and kind of, revisit some highlights of your throwing career, but also update people on what you're doing currently.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good. Thanks for having me as well.
Yeah. So where we're gonna start is current and just kind of update everybody kind of what you're doing and life as you're currently living it, and then just kind of work our way back. Anything you want to share, highlights of perseverance you've came over, highlights that you've felt hard work got you to this point. One thing too is really cool if you Google your name on YouTube. I'm sure you've done this. Like there's pictures with you with Joe Kovacs training with Art Venegas, in Chula Vista and some of those stuff like that. So, it's kind of, I'd like to know your opinion on kind of what's happening now with them. And did you see it kind of back then, so to speak, when we get to that?
Okay. Yeah.
Is that cool?
Yeah.
All right, man.
A lot of time while the family's shopping, right?
Right. Oh yeah. All the time.
This dude can talk throwing forever.
No.
I love track and field, so
I promise you I won't keep you on that long. We have practice today. So
we gotta go get our throwers.
We gotta go get that stuff. So Richard, just kind of tell us, man, what's going on currently with your life, where you're living, and kind of what are you doing these days?
Well, currently I'm down in Laredo, Texas. I look out of my front door and I can see the river.
Wow.
I'm a federal agent down here now. When I left Chula Vista in 2016, 2017, when I decided, I guess, to hang up the throwing shoes, I decided it was time to get a real job, a career. I interviewed at UT Arlington and I didn't end up getting the position. But when I moved back from Chula Vista to Texas, I had a girlfriend that I had just started dating when I went out there in 2014. She was also a thrower. She threw at a UT. It used to be UTPA, but now it's UTRGV. And we started dating. And I went out there to Chula Vista, did my 3 years. Came back. She was like, "Oh, I don't want you to move to Dallas. I've been without you for 3 years. You're gonna move down here to Beeville with me." And I was like, "Oh, I guess so." And I graduated with a criminal justice degree, so it was always in the plan for me to go into law enforcement. Something I wanted to do ever since I was in middle school. So when I came back, she told me about the organization called the Border Patrol. I didn't know anything about it, nothing about it. I didn't. The first time I saw them was actually in Chula Vista. There were some mountains around the training center out there, and we would see the truck come up. We'd be like walking up the mountains doing whatever, and the truck Border Patrol came up. "What y'all doing?" "Oh, nothing, just hanging out, enjoying the views," type of thing. That was my first interaction with Border Patrol. Little did I know my wife was from a border town and was going to tell me to join the Border Patrol. So I joined that and moved down here to Laredo, Texas in 2017. I've been doing that ever since.
Wow. So how many kids you have?
We have two girls, a 5-year-old, and well, my youngest will be 2 in 4 days.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she was born. Yeah, she's born the day before I was born. So
wow. So I gotta ask this because I'm curious. The training for the Border Patrol, did you have, excuse me if I butcher this, was it like a boot camp you had to go to, like the academy that was maybe a little bit more intense than like your regular police academy, if that makes sense?
Yeah, so the Border Patrol is considered a paramilitary organization. So your academy is more akin to a boot camp. So it's formation walks. It's a lot of PT. Like I tell this, so whenever I went into the Border Patrol, my plan was still to throw, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't done. I was going to train with my old college coach, Chris Adams, who was a blessing for me back when I was in college. I wish I would have known that back then, but I was going to join the Border Patrol, be 2 hours south of San Antonio, down here in Laredo, and I was going to keep training. Got into the academy. It's a 6-month academy. I started at maybe 290, 285, 290. By the time I left, I was 217 pounds.
Oh, wow.
They ran every last bit of weight and muscle I had off of me. It's a hard academy. I mean, it's worth it. And when you get done, when you finish, it's a
Yeah.
great feeling. I love the work I do, but the academy is not, it's not for the faint of heart. It's like I said, went in 290, came out 217.
You
That's
came
a
out
lot.
a shot putter, then you came out a javelin thrower.
Yep, yep. My coach was mad. He was like, "I don't know what you did. You just ruined it." And I was like, "Man, I'm sorry. I didn't know it was gonna be like this."
How long was the academy?
6 months.
Really?
Yeah, 6 month academy.
Oh,
Yeah.
down there in Laredo in the valley, or was it somewhere,
No, it's in New Mexico.
Okay.
So you start out at wherever you're gonna be for like 2 or 3 days, then they fly you out to El Paso, and then you're on a bus going to New Mexico, and you have no idea what's in store for you when you
Wow.
get on that bus.
Wow. Can you tell us kind of, I'm just kind of curious, is what your daily job is? Do you are you responsible for a certain area? You don't have to go in great detail, but I was just kind of curious.
Yeah, that's usually how it goes.
Okay.
You get in and they give you your keys and say, "Hey, you got this area. Go patrol the border. Go protect and serve." It's basically simple as that. Now, there's different, I guess you could say, factions within the border patrol. Like not
Yeah.
just like agents at the river, but you have different things you can do within the border patrol. So,
Wow.
but when your main job, when you get it, they give you a unit, give you the keys, and say you got this area. You gotta go out there and do your job.
Do,
I was just going to tell you, thank you for doing that.
Yeah,
for
thank you very
serving.
much.
Yeah.
do you feel as you as a collegiate athlete and had the career that you had even post collegiately, did it prep you for that academy and for that 6 months and kind of what you're doing now?
I definitely think it did. I mean, having that athletic background, you get a lot of people who get into the border patrol who kind of what we would call off the street, no real background in athletics or law enforcement. So they the base that they have is a lot different than the base that I had built up through my years of athletics. Right, I was already competitive. I was already built to withstand certain hardships or certain things that you're gonna just have to grit your teeth and get past. So I definitely feel like that athletic background, that throwing background for sure had a big part in me being able to go through that academy because the retention rate on somebody going into the academy, it's not high, but it's not low. I mean, it's not low, but it's not high.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
So you said your wife was a thrower. What did
Yeah.
she throw?
And what's she doing these days?
She was mostly a hammer thrower. Well, out of high school, she was a power lifter, and she was a state champion power lifter. That was really her thing. But we all know NCAA powerlifting is not a scholarship sport. So she had to make the choice going into college. Like, okay, so who's gonna pay for me to go to school? And it was UTPA with throwing. So she was mostly a hammer thrower. Now she's secretary at a local high school here, and she's from here. So this was hometown for her. Whenever I got my choices, I told her, and she was like, "Oh, choose Laredo." I was like, "Okay, awesome, I'll choose Laredo." So she came right back home. But
I love that.
Now, what was her maiden name when she was at PB?
Talamontes,
Okay.
yeah, Brittany Talamontes. But
Okay.
she works with a couple of girls privately, private throwing, and she's a secretary at a local high school here.
Nice.
Oh, awesome.
And that was going to be my lead up question. So, getting into the throwing now, are you doing anything with that, teaching, giving back to the community with lessons, or is it you just got so much time with other obligations you can't do it?
I go out there with my wife when I can. She
Okay.
usually works with 2 or 3 girls here locally in Laredo. Um, I go out with her when I can, but the job kind of it takes up a lot of time. Yeah, so I go out when I can. I always keep up with what's going on in the throws world. I mean, it's one of those sports when you get out, you never really fully get out. You Outdoor season comes along, you start seeing the numbers, you start seeing the videos, and you're like, man, maybe I could pick it back up. But no, I don't know.
So what's your assessment of that with Ryan breaking the world's record and Kovacs going,
Mhm.
over almost 23 meters, 2290, I think.
Mhm.
And you've kind of been through the ranks with those guys. What's your assessment of what's going on currently?
I mean, it's a great back and forth between those two. I mean, Ryan, I guess you can call him a child prodigy. When he was coming up, where he was coming up out there in Oregon, he was putting numbers up at a young age. So it was everybody knew it was destined for him to come and do that. But my man Joe is a worker. Being out there in Chula Vista with him for 3 years, working with him, we were training partners, seeing him lift, seeing him throw, seeing how his mind dissected the throw. Like I, we knew that that was coming. It was only a matter of time for Joe. But it's a great little back and forth between those two, and I'm hoping that I see it for years to come.
Wow. Wow.
For
During your time at Chula Vista, and you were working with Art Venegas, right?
Yes, sir.
What was that experience like in that kind of realm? Was it camaraderie, or like every time I go in there, I got to put 5 more pounds on, I got to hit 1 more centimeter in that environment?
Well, Art's coaching style was very, very dialed into what he was looking for specifically. He wanted you to be a certain weight. He wanted your numbers to look a certain way, and he wanted you to do a certain thing in the ring. And it was the environment was, I would say, competitive, but not to a point where you didn't like the guy who you were training with, right? We were all really close friends. Everybody was cheering on everybody, trying to get them to increase that weight, like increase those numbers. When I went into the training center, I was maybe 265. At UTSA, I was never a heavy thrower. I was always more poppy, more explosive. I'd hit my positions in the ring, and if I can get out of it fast and explosive, my throw was going to be great, right? But when I got to Chula Vista, Art was like, "Hey, I need you to be 290, 300," and I was like, "That's 40 extra pounds. I don't know how I'm gonna get there." But we had a cafeteria there. They were all just putting food in my face, like, "You got to eat this." I'm like, "I can't eat no more." Like, "No, you need to finish this plate." After training, it's like, "Hey, let's go get a sub." It's like, "I can't eat no more. You
my
just
God.
ate through." He was like, "Yeah, but let's go get a sub. Go to Jersey Mike's, get some sandwiches." Eating all the time, but that was a part of that. Like, they were aware, oh, you needed to put on some weight, so when we eat, you're gonna eat, type of thing. So
Wow.
it's
Did you?
it,
I'm sorry. Did you live with Joe? At the
Yeah,
or
so so at Chula Vista, it's kind of like a residency program.
yeah.
Whenever I was getting out of college in 2014, I knew I wanted to take it post collegiately, but I wasn't really sure how that was going to happen or how it would work, right? So at USA's in 2014, I had a pretty good showing, finished out fifth, I believe, with a 20:35. That was my
Mhm.
PR. And Art approached me. He was like, "Man, I see good things. Like, you're gonna be a real good thrower." He gave me his card. He told me he was going to reach out, and gave me a call not too long after when I was back in San Antonio. And they started the process on trying to get me out there for that residency program. So ended up happening. I got out there. We all live on the campus, right? Certain sports they live off campus, but track and field lived on campus. So he was already there. Him, and I believe Eric Worski were roommates. So I stayed with Mason Finley for a short time.
Oh wow.
Andrew Evans, discus thrower,
Yeah.
stayed with him for most of my time there. But it was a great situation. It was I couldn't turn it down. It was a great experience.
Yeah. Now, what was Art's coaching style like to maybe what you can experience with Adams at UTSA?
It was totally different. It was, I mean, Art is a living legend. Let's
Yeah.
not, mistake anything. His his coaching style worked, was proven. He had multiple Olympians and multiple different events, multiple world champions. Art style works. Um, it was a lot different though what I did in college with Coach Adams. Coach Adams was more, I'll tailor what your strengths are, right? So I was more explosive, faster, poppy, and we tweaked things in the ring daily. If we were having a throw practice, it was, what do you feel? Okay, well, let's try this. Okay, that didn't work. So, hey, how about this? Think about this. We talked a lot about it, everything like that. When I was at Chula Vista, it was more, okay, you need to do this. I'm okay, hey, you didn't do it, you need to do this. It was no kind of adjustments per person. It was, this is the rule book. You throw it inside these rule books, within inside these rules. If you don't, we got to keep drilling it until you can get that down, type of thing. And that on top of injuries, it didn't work with me. And my post collegiate career was just not as good as what I would have liked. But all the things that I learned up under Art was just little pieces of gold to take with me into life.
Yeah, and being in that environment with all of those people living together, cafeteria, all that had to just be just amazing experience. Walk away from there with lots of knowledge.
I know, but some guy, I bet you would tell people, I went to Saxe High School, and everybody else was like, where?
What? What? Yeah, it was. It was a great experience. I can't say enough about it. It was just having that close knit group of training partners together, and you're all pushing yourselves and you're all friends. I mean, it was, like I said, Eric Worski, Joe Kovacs, Tia Brooks, Whitney Discus. It was Darrell Hill ended up coming out.
Yeah.
Krauser would come out every now and then and throw. Like, it was just an amazing experience, just full of competitors and friends.
Yeah. So were you with Art in the trials in 2016? That was post collegiately.
Yes, yes. When I went to the trials in 2016, I was training with Art still at Chula Vista. It was right after that is when I had left and came back to Texas. But I was fighting an injury at that point as well. Like I said, out there, when I showed up out there, I had a grade 2 hamstring tear. So, and then after that, messed up a couple of ligaments in my finger, in my throw hand. And after that, I had a high ankle sprain that I got out there while we were throwing at UCLA. So it was just a lot of injuries that kind of plagued me out there. But it was great. We'd go up to LA and throw with Art up at Cal Northridge. Because he wasn't always at the training center. He lived in LA and he would come down like every other week. So a lot of those times we were just together ourselves, knowing what we needed to do, knowing the advisement Art put out there for us, and we would kind of help each other out on those weeks.
Wow. Awesome.
Really cool.
Awesome. What amazing experience.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about that Olympic trial for you. You know, that first throw, I think you go 1961. And you're kind of on the big stage now. I'm kind of curious, kind of how was your mental approach going into that meet, kind of on that big stage, and kind of walk us through the 3 throws and kind of what your assessment was after it was done.
I mean, in all honesty, when I was there for the trials, I was kind of a happy to be there type of situation, because I knew my injury was still kind of curtailing me. And I know my time in Chula Vista was running out. I knew I wasn't going to be back the next year. So I was kind of soaking up the whole experience, me, my training partners, everything they're doing with going to the Nike stuff, and because they're all sponsored, right? Doing all that stuff together with them, then going out there and still knowing like, okay, I could still compete, and hitting that first throw and being like, okay, maybe it's coming back, maybe the big throw is still right next door. And then after that throw, I'm really not too sure what happened after that. It was a whirlwind. Yeah.
It just went by really fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and also let me point out the fact that I have to tell our listeners. All right. So in the 2016, first place was Krauser, second was Joe, third was Jordan Clark, fourth was Darrell Hill, fifth was Reese Hoffa.
There's some big guys in there.
Ninth was Adam Nelson, and then 11th was Ryan Whiting, And then even 14th was Corey Martin, and 15th was Curtis Jenkins or Curtis Jensen. So
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the shot put historically has always been really thick in the US, right? And
yeah,
that year was no different. All the I guess you if you want to call them old timers,
yeah,
was still around trying to make another team. And then you got the guys like Krauser and Joe who are I wouldn't even call Joe a newcomer at that time. Like Joe was just cemented in there. Ryan was kind of that. He's always been around, right? So he was cemented in there. Darrell was in there. It was the shot put has never been an event where it's like, oh, maybe I'll sneak in. No, there's no sneaking in the U.S. with the
No.
shot put.
well, no, and you had a strong throwing. That I said it wrong. It's 1916. Was 62-10 and a half. That's a good opener. That's a strong opener. I'm guessing after that first one, you had to feel pretty good to feel like, man, if I could just get 20, I might get in that top. I might get in the finals.
Right. Yeah. No. It was a good throw to build on. I mean, the way I kind of approached the meet is that first throw. It's not a just okay, just get one out there type of throw. But I'm not gonna push for it. I'm not gonna try and PR on my first throw. I want to get a mark that I can build off of. Right. So getting a good, decent 62, 63, 1920 to 1960 area type of throw I believe sets you up for that bigger throw in rounds 3 and 4.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome. Awesome. So going back, to your senior year, you have that opportunity. You said earlier you threw that PR 2035 at the US Championships in Sacramento, and your technique was one way, kind of in your groove before you went to Chula Vista. Kind of tell us about that day and throwing that PR. That had to be a big time feeling for you.
Oh yeah. Leading up to that Sacramento down in San Antonio with me and Chris, it was no more classes. It was just all throwing. I could train properly and not have to, stress about too much schoolwork or anything else going on. So it really helped me with dialing my technique in because we were at a place that we felt like this is the form. Like this what you're doing right now is going to get you to that 21-20 range. And we saw it. We saw it a lot in training. I think I was consistently around 2080 and we would see a 21-30 like twice in a training session. And I
Really?
like if I could put that together in the meet, doors were going to open for me.
Yeah.
So getting out there, I mean, Eugene is great, right? But Sacramento really set that area up nice. It was right in front of the Capitol. It was a elevated circle. They had the sand out there. They had stands up on both sides. The atmosphere. I'm a big atmosphere guy, and that atmosphere was. It doesn't compare to any other meet that I think I've thrown in. Really, it was great. Everybody giving out the support. Your competitors giving out the support for you because, like I said, track and field is so much different than football, right, or basketball. Even though you're competing against the other guys are your buddies. Like they know what you've been through, you know what they've been through. They clap it up for you, you clap it up for them. Everybody wants to see everybody PR. I want to see you PR, but I want a PR to beat your PR.
Yeah.
It's a friendly competition with the throws. So out there at that meet, it was great. The atmosphere was great. I was running on all cylinders. It was time. And when I got that 2035 out there, it it just let me know I was going the right direction with my training with me and Coach Adams.
Yeah. I'm kind of curious. You said earlier, he would tweak some stuff and y'all would talk through a lot of stuff based on how you were feeling that day and kind of make tweakments as you were going. I'm kind of curious, when everybody talks about having that big throw, do you kind of remember that feeling of that and kind of what you were thinking or what that big cue was to really kind of feel that, like, I know I'm going to have a big day today during this meet?
Yeah, so my cue that day was Oreo, like make a circle like an Oreo. So coming back down and getting into the middle of the ring and getting the wrap. And we were thinking about just between my elbow, my block hand, arm, making a big circle and having that wrap. And it was just think of an Oreo. It was like, okay. So if I landed into the middle, got my block foot down and thought about Oreo, I just felt it. I came around on it and it almost, it's not exactly weightless, but it's almost like the shot is just cocked back on the spring on those fingers. And you can't feel it, but you feel a little bit of tension as soon as it comes out, and it just flies. It just floats out like that spring just got released, and the shot goes, and you just know it's like, okay, yeah, that's a big one.
Wow. I got to dig in a little bit. So don't the
Yeah.
Were you an Oreo fan? Were you eating it while he was talking to you this day at school?
I hate Oreos. I don't even eat Oreos. I hate Oreos. Not my favorite candy or little cookie or nothing. It's just I think it was more about the circle, like feeling that whole enclosure. And whenever we thought about the circle, if it was an Oreo, I guess. So all of those little training cues were, you know, you got your coach back there yelling at you, something like, open the left foot, or like stay on the right, whatever. Ours were weird. It was Oreo. Okay, I got it.
Okay.
But you know what? I know, and at the same time too, that's kind of clever because in 2023, I asked you this question, and you knew immediately that has never left you.
Never.
And that just always kind of resonates, to that. Mm-hmm. And that's also kind of funny and odd, haha, but it's very clever too. That kind of think outside the box. I think with throwing, and I'm sure you'll agree, sometimes we get so caught up in biomechanics and doing biomechanics and doing this and hitting this position and angle of release and speed of velocity and all this, and
say Oreo.
Yeah. Exactly. Oreo meant like 3 or 4 different things in my mind.
What that meant.
I know exactly.
Awesome. Yeah. That is awesome.
Finding that cue for that, whatever.
Yeah. So did he go out there with you at the U.S. Championships? Was Chris Adams out there?
Yes, I was out there under UTSA's banner. Like I still wore my college gear. It was basically my last meet as a road runner. So he was out there, and we just enjoyed that trip together. Because I mean, I don't remember if we had any other UTSA athletes out there with us, but for the throws, it was just me and him. And we were soaking it all up in together. Great experience, and we knew something big could come from that.
Yeah. Well, and this is also too coming off 2 weeks 2 weeks before you were back at Eugene placing 5th in the NCAA's, right?
Outdoor 2014. Yes, I think so.
Yeah, and were you through 2014 as well?
Yeah, it was everything up to that 2035 was landing in place. Like we knew that the bigger throw was going to come because the weeks prior I believe at conference I think I threw 2006.
Yeah.
Then I threw that 2014, or I'm not sure what I threw at the West prelims. But at the national meet, I threw 2014, and then we knew from the training sessions that okay, USA's, there's a chance that it's going to pop.
Wow. Let's talk about when you first got to UTSA in your freshman year. What was that experience like? We'll get into your high school, but you went to state your senior year, and you had some big marks, but going to UTSA kind of had to be a wide open experience for you as far as that level of competition and being that D1 high level thrower.
Yeah. So originally I wasn't going to go to UTSA. Originally coming out of crazy situation, right? So I was a football track guy, coming out of high school. And at my high school, for some reason, every year, there'd probably be about 4 to 7 guys who would go to the same college. And I ended up signing to that college for football. And it was me, 6 other guys. We went on the visit, talked to the coach. He was aware, like, oh yeah, no, I could know Coach Patterson. He was our head football coach while I was at Naaman Forest High School, and he had got 6 of us to sign. I want to say 5 ended up going. I didn't end up going because I had a private coach for a couple of weeks. I got on to him. His name is Mark Simmons, by my friend Hayden Valley, who ended up going to Texas. He hooked me up with Mark, and Mark was like, "Oh, so where are you going to school?" I was like, "Oh, I'm going to this small school up here in Oklahoma for football." And he was like, you didn't talk to anybody for track?" I was like, "I didn't get contacted by anybody. Like nobody cared." I mean, I was a 61, 180 guy.
Yeah.
I don't want to say I didn't take track seriously. I loved it, but the reciprocation was not there, I guess you could say, from college. I didn't hear from anybody, or so I thought. Um, Signed to that school, Mark connected me with Coach Adams because they threw against each other up in Ohio. So,
Okay.
and Chris, I guess, told Mark, like, I've been trying to get a hold of this guy for months, and like he hasn't called me back, he hasn't emailed me. He was like, who have you been talking to? I've been talking to his coaches at school. Come to find out, my coaches was telling anybody who would call about track, they were like, yeah, no, he signed somewhere to play football. But it was an
Really?
Oh
NAI school.
no.
Yeah, it was an NAI school. Whenever Coach Adams got in contact with me through Mark, he was like, if it's an out of division situation, you can come here. Like there's no issues with that. I was like, oh, I didn't know, and my coaches didn't tell me. Come to find out, I come back at some point during my freshman year to train, and the girls track coach is like, "Hey, Rich, you need to come get all these letters in my office." I was like, "What are you talking about?" He was like, "You got letters from all these schools for track." I was like, "I had no idea those even existed." So I think he told me schools like Arkansas and Tennessee, just a bunch of different schools. So originally I was going to go to a NAIA school to go play football, and then Coach Adams got a hold of me through Mark. Went on my visit there. I also went on one other visit to Texas. They told me, we have books for you. My mom was like, "Yeah, we can't go here on books." So
We need more of the books.
Yeah.
yeah, we need more than books. But Coach Adams came and he was like, "Look, I want you. I've been wanting you. This is what we can do for you." And we were like, "Oh yeah, that's perfect. We'll go down to San Antonio and enjoy the ride." And they didn't have a football program, which kind of helped me make my decision. I didn't want to be tempted with football. And at that time there was no football program.
What
So
position you play in football?
defensive end. I was defensive end and defensive tackle. I played all over the D line.
Wow. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So you transitioned that freshman year there. What was that like being in that college training? I'm just guessing maybe it was not like it was in high school where it was maybe a 7 days a week full-time job.
Yeah, no, it was great. I loved it because in high school my coach was just a football guy. Like
Yeah.
he wasn't exactly too knowledgeable in the throws. His name was Mike Crutcher. I love the guy. He was like, "Look, I'm gonna learn. You know more about this than what I do, so I'm just gonna tell you a couple of things, but you do what you're gonna do."
Yeah.
And as when I got to UTSA, it was great having a coach who knew what was going on and could tell me the things that I'm feeling. Like I would explain to him, like, "Oh, this is what I'm feeling." He was like, "Oh, well, that's this." Like he was an actual throws guy, so he could tell me what it was to put, words to what it is you're feeling. It helped a lot. Like I think my first meet there, my freshman year, I threw 57 feet or so, and I was a 61 guy. And what I was told, like whenever you get from that 12 to that 16, expect that 10-foot drop. Like it's just everybody's gonna go through it.
Yeah.
I didn't have that 10-foot drop. And he was like, "Yeah, I was shocked. Like that this is Coach Adams." He was like, "I didn't think this was what was gonna happen, but going through that actual college training just opened up the world of throwing for me."
Well, coming in as a freshman, were you rotating?
Yeah, I was a spinner
Okay.
starting maybe my junior year in high school, junior or sophomore year.
Oh, really?
Hmm.
Now, now you said earlier that it wasn't that big a transition. because I'm kind of curious. Are you a big hands guy? So that 12-pound, throwing the biggest shot put was a transition to maybe that big 16. We're having a video difficulty.
There's no problem. There's no problem.
Some stuff in.
Sorry.
Yeah, I've been charging my laptop since last night. I was like, I really don't need this laptop to die on me.
I know. It's a prep.
Mm-mm.
Why is it so hard to plug something in? Okay.
There you go. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Cut all that out.
It makes for reality, right?
Yeah.
The magic of editing.
Yeah.
We depend on technology and then we forget to plug it in. All right.
There we go. So you came in starting over, came in as a rotator, and also too, like your impression of Coach Adams had to be like, wow, he really knows his stuff, and I feel like with him, he can really make me the best thrower I can, right?
Oh, for sure. I mean, when he came to the house talking shop, up to that point, my coach was YouTube, right? Me and my dad was just on YouTube, like, okay, what can we figure out on our own type of thing. And then Mark came into the picture, and he threw a lot of. I didn't work with Mark long enough to be able to really digest what throwing was.
Yeah.
We worked a lot more on just rhythm type things, because I think it was probably only 2 weeks to a month that I was working with Mark.
Oh, wow.
But whenever Coach Adams came in, talking shop, talking about cues, the verbiage, the feeling, everything, me and my dad were like, yeah, this is what we needed. Like, we needed somebody with this much knowledge within the sport. And he already expressed to us, everybody's not the same, right? If you're not a guy who's benching 600 pounds, you're not going to be able to move slow through the ring. You're going to need to be more explosive, more poppy if you don't have those numbers in the weight room. And it really made me feel comfortable with him, knowing that he's not going to try and stick me in a box. He's going to not let the system work me, but you work the system. What works best for you?
Welcome back, track people. This is Brandon, owner of fourthrows.com. We're a fast and growing track and field company that specializes in the throws. With our speed shipping, implement warranties, and rock bottom prices on javelins, discuses, shot puts, and hammers, call us up today to talk directly to one of the owners at fourthrows.com.
Man, I'm looking at your results for your freshman year, and you get second in the Southland Conference, and with the PR that year is 1776.
Yeah, it shocked, I want to say, a lot of people in the conference, a lot of people in the state, myself, Coach Adams. They're like, who is this kid? And the year I came out, it was me, it was Hayden, Steven Signs. There was legit 70-footers in the state of Texas. Nobody's looking at a guy who's throwing 61 feet, right? But your freshman year, you come out and you throw 57 at your first meet. Your PR that year, 1776. You're like, oh, maybe.
Did you know what you were doing? Or you were just like, this is easy?
In high school?
That freshman year.
Freshman year? Well, that freshman year, I actually figured out what things were. I figured out what I was feeling. I figured out, oh, this is a good position that I'm in. Oh, that's a bad position I was in. Okay. And just that little bit of work throughout that year got me to a place once our season actually started that was a very good starting place to a collegiate career.
Oh, wow. And then in the spring, you picked up the hammer as well and got second in the Southland Conference in the discus.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of curious too, because a lot of times we have high school kids that try to throw the shot put rotationally like the discus.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going into the net, and they're hurting themselves. I'm kind of curious to know, how were you able to make that transition going into with the new coach? You started figuring stuff out. did that carry over to discus as well? Because you threw 52.79 with the 2K to get second as a freshman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, discus was always fun to me. I understood though coming out of high school, these are two different forms. These are two different
Yeah.
schemes. Um, in the discus coming out of high school, I would say I probably liked the discus a little bit more. Although the shot was fun, the discus would fly, and I could stand there and look at it. So it was always fun. And I forget the guy's name right now, but his name they called him the Mosquito. I would watch his videos in the discus all the time on YouTube, all the time, and just try and imitate his throw because he wasn't a giant guy. You know, most discus throwers were 6'7", 6'8", you know, and they
Yeah.
were long and slow and hit the angles, but this guy was fast in the ring. Um, I think he was from Hungary. I'm not sure. I forget his name right now. But the discus, I understood it's something completely different from the shot. And going into college with that understanding already, the two spins would never oppose each other for me. So
Gotcha.
it was fun. The jump up in weight obviously was a little difficult from throwing that 1K, and I never did any of those like national meets or the USA level of the competition for in the summers
Yeah.
growing up. It was only TAF for me.
Okay.
So I never touched the 1.7 or those other. I went straight from the whatever we were throwing in high school, which was the 1.7. It was the 1.7, right? In high
What's
school?
it?
1-6.
1.6, straight to the 2K. So the the trajectory of it was a little slower for me than the shot.
Gotcha.
So you picked up the hammer. How did you like that? Was that
Oh,
fun to watch that thing fly?
I hated the hammer. I hated the hammer. Oh my
Come
god.
on, a big old thick dude like yourself playing defensive end didn't like the hammer?
Oh my gosh. It was terrible because we're in Texas, right? It's only what, two states that they actually throw
Yeah,
it
yeah.
in. And so I never even knew what it was. Like I didn't know what the hammer was until I got to college
Oh,
and we
wow.
got to outdoor. Like I knew what the weight was during indoor, and I didn't know what the hammer was until we got to outdoor. And he was like, "Okay, this is the hammer." I was like, "It don't look like a hammer to me." Any nails around here. So getting my hands on that thing, the first 2.5 to 3 years was just I hated it. I hated it. But after I started getting the technique down and I started seeing it fly, I was like, this hammer's not too bad.
All
It's
right.
not too
It'd be
bad.
fun.
Did y'all cross train? I'm kind of curious in your weekly training with Coach Adams. Did you implement weight and shot put and cross train the same day, or do hammer and weight with different weighted objects and stuff, or weighted
Um,
balls?
so Coach Adams was a big hammer guy coming out of college, so he had a lot of knowledge in the hammer.
Yeah.
So yes, with the hammer, we did a lot of off weight stuff, light hammers, heavy balls. We did some chain type stuff with the weight. It was all new to me because I never up to that point I'd never trained with heavy or light implements. I only trained with what I was throwing with. So all those training techniques I didn't learn till I got to college. I didn't even lift outside of what I did for football until I got to college. All those little training techniques Coach Adams taught us, and it was fun throwing off weight stuff, heavy balls, light balls, heavy discs, light discs. It was a great experience. It was really fun learning all that.
Wow. Wow. What you were a 4-time All-American, you won indoor, you were 9-time all-conference honoree. Is there anything out of those accomplishments that you really look upon? You're like, man, I'm so proud of this. I'm so grateful that I got this, won this in the Southland or anything like that.
The one championship that I think I wouldn't say it means the most, but it was the most emotional I got for not just me, but I know for Coach Adams and I know for my family was the WAC indoor conference champion. championship because there was a tall, I forget his name as well. He was tall and he was foreign, and he threw for UTA in the Southland, I believe.
Uh-huh.
And then when we went to the WAC, I think he left to a different school, but was also in the same conference as me.
Oh, wow.
And his very first, I want to say it was very first throw, he put one out there, maybe 19 high, 20 low, something like that. He took his shoes off. He thought it was done, right? Like it
Uh-huh.
was, it was. I don't want to say disrespect because I'm sure it was nothing personal, but it put a huge chip on my shoulder for the rest of that meet. And I popped that 20. It was my first time over 20 in a meet, I believe, and it was 20:05, and
Oh,
I threw
wow.
it to win. He had to put his shoes back on after that because he was no longer in first place. We'll just say
Yeah.
that. And he
That's awesome.
couldn't get back out there. And after I threw that 20:05, I believe it was my fifth throw, I just started crying. I cried. Coach Adams cried. My
Oh,
best friend on the team at that time, her name was Katie Bragg. She's a hammer thrower. Um, I hugged her and cried. Hugged my mom and cried. It was it was a great feeling actually seeing that ball go over 20 meters for the first time and then do it in that fashion at the highest level for that championship meet. You know, it was a great experience.
Wow. No,
that's
yeah,
awesome.
if he's listening to this, whoever you are, don't bring your ass through Laredo. We'll get you a speeding ticket.
Better keep your shoes on.
Yeah,
Then.
better keep your shoes
Yeah.
on in Laredo. For sure, for sure.
Mhm.
I'm kind of curious. You're our first UTSA, guest on, and we try to, spread the wealth and try to get all our colleges and schools in different areas represented. For the people that don't know much about UTSA,
Great
kind of
guy.
tell us kind of what that school's about, and I know they have a football team now, so I'm sure that makes you proud. They're playing in the Alamo Dome. Kind of tell us a little bit about the program and what you liked about it being a graduate.
UTSA was great. Like I didn't know I'm from Dallas, right? The DFW area. I know about UT Arlington, although they don't market too well out there. I know about UT Arlington. Everybody knows about Texas, right? We go throw at Baylor. Anything south of Austin, besides A&M, nobody really knows too much about. So when this school called UTSA came to me through Mark, I was like UTSA, like I don't San Antonio. I go to San Antonio to go to SeaWorld, but I didn't know
Yeah.
there was a college there.
Didn't know there was
It
college.
it started out as a commuter school. So when I went on my visit, the campus is not big. It's real small. It's real localized, which was appealing because I knew I was like, I'm not going to have to walk, 4 miles to go between two separate classes. Like there's three main buildings and your classes on campus are going to be in those buildings right by each other. And there's not going to be any issues of running late, having a schedule like, oh, well, I got to get on this side of campus to that side, but I have practice. Like it wasn't something I was going to have to deal with. And then learning that I'm a huge Mavericks fan, right? So the Mavs Spurs rivalry,
Oh,
it's huge. And they were like, yeah, students get discounts for tickets for, all this different stuff. And I was like, well, I can go to the Mavs Spurs game in San Antonio and wear my Mavs and go piss some people off. By all means, let's do that. So all of that was very appealing to me. The localized campus, the being able to go to a sporting event, the throwing, like the track team, of course. Man, when I
The facility. The track
yeah,
facility.
the facility for track, whenever I went, was a field right next to like the basketball arena, and like there's no football field, so it was just for us. It was great. We didn't have to worry about anything. Like nobody else was going to that track. It was our track. But then once we got football, they tore down our track.
oh,
So
wow.
yeah, we ended up getting a complex though. So
Yeah.
it worked out for us.
So that complex with that partners with soccer, that was built while you were there?
That was built while I was there.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Wow. Awesome.
That's what I was
Awesome.
thinking of.
Yeah. How many students are at UTSA? Like, the enrollment, like guesstimate.
I think it was like, I don't, want to say 30.
30,000. Wow. Wow. And
That's
coach
grown.
and Coach Adams is still at UTSA and stuff.
Still there. I try and make at least one meet a year. Go
Oh,
up.
so
and-
y'all still talk regularly?
Yeah, I still talk to him. Still talk to him. Every couple of months, we'll get on the phone, talk about throws, about the family, see how everything's going. But it's
What's he
a
mean to
great
you?
facility. Yeah,
Like
that
the relationship y'all developed over the years. What does that mean?
I mean, it's something that I knew was gonna be built through my time there, even when he came and recruited. Like he wasn't just there as a coach, he was there as a person meeting a person. And you could tell that he cared beyond throwing about what was going on with you, like as an individual. Like at one point in my time there, I got a little big headed, I guess you could say, and I wanted to leave because, like I said, whenever you're being recruited, you want to go to one of those Power Fives. You want the big guys to want you, right? Nobody thinks about mid majors. And at one point, I had a lot of friends who were at Tech playing football, just going to school on the team, And I was like, you know what? I want to transfer. I want to go to Big 12 and do whatever. But Coach Fox was like, I don't give releases mid-season, so that's not going to happen. And I talked with Coach Adams about it, and he was like, look, like it hurts me that you want to go. And he kind of talked to me on a personal level, not about throwing. He was just like, what is it that you're missing here? And he kind of opened my eyes to like, you've built a family here. Like you don't need to run back to somebody else, but open and learn and see what you've built here. And it really changed my perspective on things. He was very personable, not just on a coaching level, but on a actual level of getting to know his athletes.
Oh wow.
Awesome. I love it that y'all stay connected.
Mm-hmm.
Now
cool.
is that relationship even grown further now that you're maybe the I don't want to say equal, but
You're an
he's
adult.
all
You're an adult.
you're an adult. Yeah.
Yeah, with the kids and everything like
Yeah.
that, for sure. We talk about because he was having children as well. Whenever I was there, he was having his first child, and he has two now. And their soccer games and stuff lets us know how that's going and asks about our kids, stuff like that. I'm pretty sure it's like that with all of his athletes, not just me, but it's great being able to continue that relationship and kind of getting some input from somebody who's been there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Mhm.
Awesome. I don't know if hopefully I don't know if this will bring up a bad name to you, but I heard y'all were bitter rivals in the Southland Conference. I'm just going to see your reaction because I found it in my research and stuff. When I mentioned this Stephen F. Austin thrower, I want to see your reaction. John Arthur.
Yeah, I love John. I love John. Man,
In a
John was,
love-hate way? Because I was told and heard y'all had a bitter rivalry.
whenever we were throwing, for sure. It was a back and forth there when we were in the Southland. Whenever we were there, there was a meet. I think it was in Louisiana where he beat me, and I took it personal. Like but he was the guy there before I got there.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
John was the guy, and then I come up out of nowhere and he's got to, deal with me for the next, what is it, 3 years? I think I was in the Southland, 2 years. So it was while we were throwing, it was a rivalry, but after the throwing was done, we were buddies. Like I still talk to John now.
Oh,
Like,
do you? Because I heard he was a good shit talker. So during the meets and shit.
oh, for sure, for
Yeah.
sure. He would let you have it. And I was more of a quiet person, but when I got a throw off, then I started getting pointed looks like, oh, you still talking shit over there? Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. And y'all still talk, huh?
yeah. So
That's awesome.
Ron, he does bodybuilding now. Him
Yeah.
and his wife. And whenever I got out of the academy, I was like, you know what? I'm too small. Like I need to get my weight back, but I need to work with somebody. And I knew John was doing that type of stuff. I reached out to him, and he was like a little trainer for me for a little time.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he sent me workouts and a diet plan and helped me get back to the size I am now. So
Oh wow.
Which is not what 217.
What are you weighing now?
I think I'm probably back around like 270, 275. Yeah.
Okay. I see you throwing some weight around in your Instagram posts and stuff like that. Are you lifting every day?
I try and go 5 days a week. I'm up it to 6. I've been saying that for the last couple of months, but Saturdays are real nice to sleep in, so I haven't been doing it. But at some point I will.
Is it more Olympic lifting or kind of powerlifting or kind of bodybuilding or kind of high intensity stuff?
All
the above.
Less Olympics. Like I probably haven't done a snatch in years. I've cleaned maybe 8 months ago.
Okay.
I don't like getting up under the barbell for squats anymore. Doing that so much with Art and Chris hurt my back. But every now and then I'll get up under, do some squats, more bodybuilding type stuff, I guess you could say. But with my numbers getting back to around where they were when I was throwing, it's always like, oh, what age do I have to be for masters? Maybe I'll pick it up again.
There you go. How old are you? You mid-30s?
I'll be 33 December 21st.
Yeah, you still got a while till you get to the lightweight. Wait till you're 50.
I don't want to go play with the big boys anymore in Eugene. So
yeah. Now your wife, on the other hand, if she still has aspirations to throw, that 4K is still available in that 30 to 39 range.
well, I'll have to let her know.
For sure. Well, you talked a little earlier about your high school career, and going to state your senior year and the situation with, how you wound up at UTSA. Let's even go a little further. What was your introduction to throwing as a youth?
Well, so I was a destructive kid, right? So over the summers, I would build these little like golf ball tracks in the garage when my parents would go to work, but it would end up leaving holes in the walls or things like that in the garage. They were like, I can't have you here tearing up my house. Like, you need to go do something over the summers. So there was my dad was a track guy. He was a long distance runner when he came out of high school. He went to Prairie View A&M for a semester. Then his mother got sick, so he had to come back home. But he knew about track, and he knew there was a summer track program in Garland. So over the summer, I think it was my 6th grade going into my 7th grade year, he put me in summer track. He was like, yeah, you're done tearing up my house. You're going to go expend some of this energy over here at summer track. But I started on the track. I wasn't a big kid until I got in the track, because my dad would pick me up after work or after practice, and he would stop at McDonald's. Like, he didn't want to cook. My mom didn't get home till late. So he was like, yeah, over the summer, McDonald's after every track practice. In my 7th grade year, I got big. I was in husky jeans, let's just say.
Too much McDonald's.
McDonald's. So I started throwing the summer after that. And there was a coach there. His name was Coach Moses. I forget his first name, but he started me out in it. And I liked throwing. Like, it felt good to get that little ball and put it as far as I can and get that discus and just watch it fly. Like, I took to it. It was fun. So I started with the summer track program, Garland Summer Track. And that program actually it's got a lot of good people who have come out of that outside of the throws. Kyle Clement, who I think he was a 400-meter guy or something. He came out of that. Marquise Goodwin, he went the football route, but he still made a couple of teams for the U.S. in the long jump. We had a lot of heavy hitters in that summer track program just from when we were kids growing up in it, right? So I started out with that. By the time I got to 7th grade, I was beating 8th graders and everybody else in the city. And I was like, you know what? I might just stick with this, because I was a baseball guy and it took away from baseball season. Yeah. And then it was like I had to make a decision. It was either I was going to continue to play baseball or going to throw these implements. And throwing was a little bit more fun than standing out in the outfield, chasing down balls.
Oh, wow. So did they, in that introduction, were you kind of a shuffler, junior high shuffle for shot put? Did they try to at least teach you the basics of a glide or even spin?
Yeah, whenever I started that summer before my 7th grade year, I was just like a little shuffle, a little 2-step in the ring like most people.
Gotcha.
But then shortly after, I picked up the glide, and like I said, me and Hayden came out in the same year. I saw him every summer since that 7th grade year. Like,
Oh wow.
I think he had been doing it in another situation. Richard Garrett just comes out of nowhere, like, "Hey, who is this guy who just came out and keeps pushing me?"
Yeah.
Right. So after a couple of years, I seen Hayden one summer and he just blew up, like got big, but not just big, got big and strong.
Yeah.
And, I remember, I think it was like our 8th grade summer. I was like, "Man, what'd you do?" He was like, "Oh, I drink like a gallon of milk a day." I was like,
And eat Oreos.
"Yeah, Oreos and a gallon of milk."
Yeah.
But he just took off at that point, and I was still just hanging around there, and it was a great summer community with summer track that also made me want to stick with throwing. Like, it's even from a young age, you see that this sport isn't like other sports, right? Like, you're not just enemies with the opposite team. Like,
Yeah.
you're buddies. Like, you want to see them do good, you want to do better, but you don't want to see anybody do bad, you
Yeah.
know?
Great
And
point.
it was great. It was great to grow up in that environment.
Wow. Wow. So you go to I'm gonna mispronounce it, Naaman Forest, your freshman year in Garland. You
Mhm.
know, is that where you transition to kind of being that football player and then also the thrower and stuff? And you
Mhm.
mentioned some coaches that kind of helped you. You know, what was their influence on you as a youth?
Yeah, no, I was always a football. I would say I was a football guy all the way up until I actually signed with UTSA. Like,
Oh, real? Okay.
football was the main thing. Track, like I said, I had some people who knew a little bit, but nothing to the point of letting me know this can be taken serious. It was always the other sport, you know. We do this so your feet get better for football. We do this so you can get a little bit stronger. I never did any weight training along with track with throwing. It was all what the football coaches had us doing. So whenever I got to Naaman, they already were aware of my track background, but I was still hey, this is our starting D line. Like, sophomore year during the playoffs, brought me up to varsity.
Oh,
Like, things like that. It was always football first, but when it came to track, they're like, "You know more than us. You just go out and do what you're gonna do, and we'll be there, and just tell us what you want us to tell you," basically, type of situation.
Yeah.
But with the doing the football lifting, it would help me for track. It didn't take me, to that 70-foot area, but it helped build my throws up to that 60, that low 60s.
wow. Yeah. And that's if you look at your like your sophomore and junior year, you make it to regionals in shot and disc. You know, you make the finals, but you're always in that fifth or sixth spot. But then
Mhm.
your senior year going into regionals, that's when you hit your PR, that the 61 8 1/4, and then the discus 181 4 to win both your senior year. So that had to be a big feeling, a positive feeling for you as well.
Yeah, no, it was great. I mean, leading up to I guess you can call it the YouTube era, right? It was like Coach, I told you about Mike Crutcher. He printed out basically what he knew of throwing, which was a pamphlet from, I want to say, like 1940 something, that would just had the pictures of a person throwing a disc and explaining the rotation of it. And he was like, "This is what I know. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
beyond this, I don't know much else, but I know you work with it over the summers. I know you're good at it. Tell me what you want me to tell you, and I'll yell it as loud as I can at the meets." And that's what he did.
Awesome.
And it was great because it still made me remember what I wanted to remember throughout my throw in high school, right? But it wasn't that knowledge of, hey, you need to stay over the right a little bit longer, let the right foot turn a little bit more. This is a block arm. Like, I was just throwing this arm because it felt good, and I knew, like, it like pulled me across the other direction. I didn't know this was called a block and you should stop it at some point and transfer it. Like, I didn't understand what was going on, but I was just doing the right things. But going into state my senior year, I had a pretty good year up to that. There was always this, I think it was the Jesuit meet or the Coppell meet. There was a kid that would come down from Oklahoma, from Ardmore, Oklahoma. I think that kid ended up going to TCU or something, but he pushed me to take it a little bit more serious because he would come down from Oklahoma and I would take it personally. Like, man, stay in Oklahoma. Why are you coming down here? Like, these are my gold medals. This is my meet to win. What are you doing coming down here? I had every time I got a medal from one of those meets, I'd put it up on the wall, look at it real pretty, you know, but he would come down and mess it up and make me have a couple of silvers up there when they're supposed to be golds. So that made me take it a little bit more serious. But it was fun. It was fun.
So that senior year when you went to get signs and he goes 69 feet and you go almost 62 feet, you're like, shit.
Yeah.
Like damn, I almost hit my PR and you're still 7 feet behind.
Exactly. Having to contend with the Haydens and the signs out there because I mean, I think we all graduated in 2009. So like you were saying, I saw them anytime it got to a statewide meet, I knew I was going to have to see them. Over the summers, I knew I was going to have to see Hayden. Like it was fun to watch them do their thing, but it put the drive in me to be like, you know, I need to figure out how to get out that far as well, right? With that 57 that I threw my freshman year, it showed me like, man, I could have been throwing 67. What was I doing throwing 62 feet? But I don't think like I just couldn't feel the 12. Like it felt weightless throughout the whole throw. Like I was holding it wrong. Like nobody really taught me like, hey, you shouldn't just be holding it like this. Like put your fingers behind that shot. Like things like that. Taping up your
really
wrist.
Hold it like that?
Yeah, I held it. So Hayden, for some reason, he loved throwing that little brass, the little one.
Yeah, because he had the hobbit hands.
Loved throwing that thing. So I was like, man, I'm gonna throw that thing. But I couldn't feel it. I would hold it like this. And I was like, I needed the bigger shot. I didn't learn till I got to college that the bigger shot was what I wanted. Like whatever that like I just all those little things, right? Little things that when you take it serious, you know about or you've learned about. You learn what your likes and dislikes are in the ring, in the implement. I just didn't know those things in high school.
We had him on and I remember the conversation because we have a lot of discussions. And for your scenario is I see a lot of kids throwing shot puts that are too small or too big on the girls and boys side. And if it's always dropping out of their hands or it's, you know, for whatever reason, they never get the match up right for their hand size and stuff. It's, you know, because when he went to Texas, you know, he got a smaller shot put for the 16. I think the smallest they can. I can't remember the dynamic of it, you know, but he couldn't throw the big, you know, the big 127 or anything like that. He couldn't throw it because his hands were too small. And just a little thing like that is so much a big oversight, you know, that we see with our high school kids and stuff, just on getting them the right shot put because nobody doesn't know any different.
Right. Yeah. You kind of got to expose them all just to see what it is that they're going to take to. Like not everybody can throw that 117 size shot. Like not everybody can get a hold of the 125 or 127 diameter shot. But for me, it was just give me the bigger ball so I can get my fingers behind it. If I get my fingers behind it, we're all good. I can feel it. But if you give me that small one, I'm not going to be able to feel it in my hand. I can't get it in my neck. I can't get that tension.
I got one question too, is because you're known for your strength and stuff. I'm kind of curious, kind of like what was your numbers coming out during high school, like bench press or maybe a back squat or power clean? Do you remember?
Well, in my mind, my numbers weren't big. We had a pretty big kid at Naaman that was really strong. His name was Shaq. We called him Shaq. Shaquille was his name, but he was throwing up 365 on bench in high school. And I was just trying to follow him. I think I got maybe 315 a couple of times on bench. Wow, okay. My squat was a little bit better. I think I was around like the 450s in squat coming out of high school. I knew Hayden was really strong, so I needed to get my strength up. So I worked on it a little bit, but all just within football practice, off-season football. We never went into the weight room after track or anything, or I never went in on my own. Like, I would try and get my dad to take me like the 24-hour fitness. He was like, they're not going to let you work out. You're not like, you're too young. They're not going to let you. It's not as open as what it is now back then. So I just never, outside of football, I never lifted on my own. But my numbers really started to come when I got to UTSA, and I started actually being able to consistently lift weight.
Yeah. Now, you said earlier Hayden introduced you to Mark Simmons?
Yes. So Hayden was working with Mark already. I don't know if it was years. It was probably years he was working with me. And they also saw my potential. So Hayden's dad and my dad were real friendly out there at the meets. Yeah. And I think they got to talk. He was like, well, Hayden works with Mark. He threw at SMU, or he was in the area, but he was a former thrower and he knows what he's talking about. Y'all should look him up. So my dad got his contact and talked to him. He was like, yeah, sure, come out here and work. So they saw the potential in me as well and knew, like, it's just, you need the knowledge. Like, you watching YouTube has gotten you so far, but you need somebody who can tell you this is what's going on and this is what you want to feel.
Gotcha. Was that before your senior year? And the reason I'm asking is you see drastic jumps from your sophomore, junior into your senior year in your marks. Like you went up 20 feet and 10 feet in the shot put and 20 feet in the discus. Like you had big jumps.
Yeah, I want to say it was that summer right before my senior year in high school. And the summer following, I did summer track as well. Okay. We didn't work with Mark too much. I think he had left the area or something. I'm not sure. But he got in touch with Coach Adams, like, hey, I got this kid out here in Dallas who's pretty good. Like, I've seen him work outside of meets and he has potential. And Coach was like, I've been trying to find this kid. Like, there's nothing I don't know. Like, get me in contact with him. So they got me in contact and got me to college.
The rest is history, man. And look where you've turned out.
Oh, that's awesome. Hey, so you have mentioned your parents several times. You got to hug your mom on that meet with tears, and your dad taking you places. What kind of impact did they have on this career that you had in throwing and getting you all the places you need to be?
Oh, it was huge. I mean, my parents poured into me as much as they could. It's I come from a very loving family. Like I said, when we first got on, I was walking my mom and my sister out. They came for my youngest daughter's birthday party yesterday, all the way from Dallas just to come down for, one day and then get back because my mom has to go to work. You know what I mean? So it's very close knit, very loving. And as soon as they saw, I'm sorry, hey, cut that out. I'm sorry, my cat and my dog.
Oh.
They fighting all the time. But yeah, so my parents poured into me as soon as they saw that, oh, he likes doing this. Not even a thing of, oh, he's good at it. He enjoys throwing. He likes coming out here in the summers. Let's do whatever it is we can. Go to the meets, watch the YouTube. I mean, when I was going through the recruitment process, me and my mom would send emails to like coaches, like, hey, this is my son. This is his numbers for the shot put in the discus. If you're interested in talking to him, just, email me type of thing. And it got all the way to one point with North Texas that they scheduled me for an unofficial visit. So I went up, saw the school. They walked me around. They're like, yeah, we don't really have any money for throwers. You can come here, but we don't have any money. And I was like, oh, well, I guess I'm not going there.
Yeah.
So it was a complete blessing that Coach Adams was able to get in contact with Mark and get me out there. But as soon as they saw it was something I enjoyed doing, they were gung-ho. They were all willing to do whatever it was. Driving down to San Antonio for meets, down to Corpus for meets, whatever it was.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Awesome.
So are those two little girls going to be throwers?
Man, I think the oldest is going to be a jumper. I can't get her to stop jumping from stuff. Like we had a little jungle gym here yesterday with a ball pit, and she was jumping off of the slide into the ball pit. I was like, "You're gonna hurt yourself, but this is good training. Keep doing
Yeah,
it."
yeah. Go
You'll
ahead.
learn. Yeah, if you hurt
She's a
yourself,
multi, man. She's a multi.
yeah. Oh man, the little one is a tank. Oh my God, she's a tank. Like my youngest, my oldest, she was really lean when she came out. She was real skinny. She's still skinny, but the young one was just a ball, and she pushes everything over. It doesn't matter what it is. We have a little gate to keep them from getting to the backside of the house if we're not back there. She just runs it over. Like if this
Wow.
chair,
Put
push
her
this
up there.
chair over, that chair over, just knocking everything over, pushing the couches around. She's not like,
Wow.
not going to be 2 until December 20th. I'm like, hey, like, what are we doing? Are we sometime soon? Like,
Well, didn't you say you were a destructive little boy?
There
Like
you
tearing down
go.
colleges
was.
and paying for your
Yeah.
raisin type of thing,
Yeah.
maybe?
Yeah, that's what they say. Your kids put you everything you put your
Yep.
parents through. So
That's
Yeah.
true. That's true. Well, man, I don't, dude, I don't know if you know this, but Laredo's had some great throwers come through the ranks in the high school years for a lot of time. You're in a great place for throwing in the
Oh,
high
yeah.
school area.
Oh yeah, there's been a couple of girls. There's a girl at I don't know if she's still at Texas State or not, but she came out recently. She was pretty good. There was a girl who was at Virginia who was a discus
Yeah,
thrower.
Sadie.
I don't
Yeah.
know if my wife worked with them at all, but she's working with a girl right now coming out of United. I think next year will be her senior year. She's gonna be real good. She's gonna
Wow.
be real
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. And I don't know if you keep up with Steven Steins, but he's actually was at Austin Reagan coaching at San Antonio Reagan, and they do summer camps for free for high school and coaches, and even a holiday camp during the Christmas break as well and stuff. Yeah, like right in your area. He a couple of people that he went to college with, and some people from the Rio Grande Valley. They do them in San Antonio, then one at Southwest High School in the Valley as well. So
yeah, no,
yeah,
that's good
so
information. I'll make sure I let her know that.
there's a lot of stuff. Yeah, and dude, Hammer, that's something we're trying to do as a club is really grow Hammer, and all our kids, you know, we try to get them to throw Hammer and do all that stuff as well. So
Yeah, that's what I told the girl. Yeah,
well,
if you
dude,
can get a hammer in their hands early, that opens up a lot for them.
yeah, for sure. So,
Yeah.
well, man, thank you so much. Merry Christmas to you and your family. What an amazing story. Thank you too for your job and what everything you do, and you know, going out and you know protecting our borders. We appreciate that, and be safe, man. Hope you know make it home every night.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me on. This was a great experience. I watched a couple of your podcasts, and it was great seeing Darian and Kaseki and seeing these guys talking. I'm like, man, I miss these guys.
Yeah, this thing is
fun.
It has been fun. We were just looking, and we're right under 18,000 downloads.
Oh wow!
And just
your episode 112, which is crazy.
Yeah,
we're no names, and but this will be out the first weekend in January.
Actually, New Year's Eve if we do it, unless we want to push it back to.
Let's do it the first weekend in
January 7th.
We'll do January 7th.
January 7th.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we just got a little bit ahead through the holidays, and we'll push it back then and stuff. So we'll let you know and connect you on social media and all that stuff as well. And you and your wife can repost it and stuff. So, but Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's to y'all, and thanks for everything, and thanks for your story.
Merry Christmas to you too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks.
Have a good one.
You too.
We'd like to thank Richard for being on Talking Throws podcast, Texas style. Just what a tremendous throw story to come out from, you know, a small school in Garland, barely not being recruited, to kind of being thrown into the fire of D1 throwing and getting connected with a good coach, and that coach believing in Richard and developing him and carried him on to a great college career. And you just never know where your life is going to take you. And then all of a sudden he's now at, you know, the Olympic training facility in California, and he's with Art Venegas and Joe Kovacs and some of the best throwers, you know, currently in the world, and Richard was a part of that. Just God-given athletic ability too, but also the faith that he had, that he belonged there as well. And then also too, just what he's taken from his athletic career and applied it into his current job profession, which is sometimes doesn't get the recognition that it needs to be as well. And I really want to highlight that. It is a very stressful job, dealing with multi-circumstances and different changing of events and everything every day, sort of maybe like you would go to a track meet and there might be bad weather, or a shoelace might break on your shoe, or your shot put or discus might get impounded. Not to say those are the same things of what is Richard's currently doing, but maybe they prepared him for that situation as well. But there was a true passion to what he had, with his throwing and still involved in it, and just his success that he had. Part of me would have liked to wish he would have kind of stuck it out a little bit and really kind of maybe seen how far he could throw, overcoming those injuries as well. But, the one thing too is it's sometimes too is little coaches' cues and Oreo. Whether it might be a double dip. Double stuffed or Oreo. Okay, double stuffed.
Yeah.
But just any coach's cue that you get to remember with your kids is something how they can relate as well. So, we appreciate Richard being on as well. We want to see him and wish him safety, and thank you again for what he does, and we'll see y'all down the road.
All right, as we enter 2024, Happy New Year. And we want to thank our sponsors, Texas Track Field Coach Association. Go to ttfca.org. Check out all the latest and greatest that's going on. All the meets will be posted for this coming year. Fourthrows.com, get you implements. Track season is here. It's not around the corner anymore. It is here. So use the code TalkingThrows10, get 10% off. If you're in the Austin area, go to Ready Up Athletic Development. Contact Zach Phillips at 512-507-8347. And check out his program on the Train Heroic website called Basic Throw Strength. We got a code for you, Throws10 will get 20% off. So go check that out. And then NTX Timing, let Carl Hornback and his crew manage your meet. They're famous for saying, let us do the work while you coach your athletes, and they're committed to excellence, and you're not going to be waiting on them at a meet. So let them come out and take care of your meets this spring. We want to thank Big Frogs of Colleyville for all our printing and embroidery needs.
Hello, Talking Throws Texas podcasters. I'm Bruce Caldwell. I'm here today to introduce the Fiber Sport Discus. Yes, many of you thought I only made great vaulting poles. I have been bringing quality discuses to the throwers' hands for over 40 years. First as Cantabrian USA representative, then for the past 10 years as the Nelco discus distributor. I introduced the yellow-plated discus for the plastic's best durability. If your Fiber Sport discus breaks, we replace it. Our studies have reached into the science of using a wind tunnel and adding microchips to the discus to find the spin, the gravity, the flight stability of the discus. We have found it's not about rim weight anymore. It's more about creating a balanced stability to allow the discus to fly and surf the wind. Our new Fiber Sport discus is made to be selected to fit your needs, no matter the weather, no matter the conditions. Check out our discus selection guide at fibersportdiscus.com and find a dealer in your area that sells our fine product. Thank you, Jason and Janelle, for allowing me to talk with your listeners on Talk and Throws Texas Style.
Go check out the Throwing Factory website. We got great apparel. We got shirts.
Lessons.
Yes, all that going on. We got lessons. If you got a middle school kid who's thinking, oh man, track season is going to be coming up here at the end of January or February, reach out to us. We'd love to get those kids introduced to throwing. It's awesome.
Yeah,
love
and also too, if
lessons.
we're not in your location, we have East at the Throwing Factory with Coach Jarvis, and then Coach Morgan Knight out in Abilene, Texas, Knight Power and Performance, and you can follow them on social media or contact them through the website, thethrowingfactory.com.
Right, lifting DFW.
Yeah.
Get you some Olympic lifting going on, and then make sure and follow us on YouTube. Give us suggestions on people you want to hear in 2024. You got some great. You're like, oh man, this guy threw in high school, then made it to college, and We want to talk to those people. We love it. So reach out to us and let us know someone that may need to be on the Talking Throws podcast.
See y'all down the road. Thank you.